I now invite the Secretary-General of the United Nations, His Excellency António Guterres, to address the Commission.
Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Commission on the Status of Women, but it could equally go by another name, the Commission on the Status of Power, because that is the crux of the issue. Gender equality is fundamentally a question of power. For millennia, women have been systematically marginalized, ignored and silenced in a male-dominated world with a male-dominated culture. I recently came across an interesting book by the Cambridge historian Mary Bird. It highlights how deep patriarchal roots in Western culture help explain deep power imbalances today. And I believe the same also applies to other regions of the world. And the truth is that on the celebrated classics in ancient Rome and Greece, speech was quite literally defined as the business of men. Homer begins his epic with the son of Odysseus telling his mother to shut up and go back to waving. Aristophanes wrote a play about women leading the state. It was a comedy. And of course we know that this isn't ancient history. You may be familiar with a cartoon of a group of executives sitting around a conference table, all men, one lone woman. And the woman has just made an important point, followed by a long pause. In the cartoon, finally, the boss pipes up and says, "That's an excellent suggestion, Miss Triggs. Perhaps one of the men here would like to make it." End of quote. I suspect many of you have had similar experiences. Dear friends, today let us be clear about what needs to change. As Professor Bird has written, and I quote, "If women are not perceived to be fully within the structures of power, surely it is power we need to redefine rather than women." End of quote. I thank you for leading that change, and thank you for raising your voices. We need you here, and we need you now, and we need you more than ever. I will be frank, our world is a bit lost. Now, and I can recall my experience as a driver, I know men sometimes have difficulties recognizing when they got lost. We don't like to admit it. We have trouble asking for directions and trouble even looking at a map. Well, the fact is that our world today needs direction, and I know you can help guide the way. And sometimes it feels like we are traveling at full speed in both directions at the same time. People are more connected, yet societies are becoming more fragmented. Big challenges are growing outward, climate change, insecurity, conflict, yet people are turning inward. And more than ever, we need global responses to global challenges, yet more than ever, multilateralism, international problem solving is under fire. We are living that paradox too. After all, advocates for gender equality are mobilizing like never before. You are building global movements, raising awareness, inspiring change. But at the same time, something else is happening. And we must tell it like it is. Around the world, there is a pushback on women's rights. And the pushback is deep, pervasive, and relentless. We witness increased violence against women, especially human rights defenders, and women running for political office. We see online harassment and abuse of women who speak out. And in some countries, homicide rates are going down, but murders of women are going up. In others, we see a rollback of legal protection against domestic violence or even female genital mutilation. As the ILO just found, women last year were 26% less likely to be in employment than men. And fewer than 1/3 of managers are women, even though they are likely to be better educated. We all know women's participation makes peace agreements more durable, but we still struggle to make sure women are included in negotiating teams. Even governments that are vocal supporters of this agenda fail to back their words with action where it counts. Meanwhile, we see wide and persistent digital divides, an ongoing uphill battle for reproductive rights, terrible endemic sexual and gender-based violence. And nationalist, populist, and even austerity agendas are tearing the social fabric, aggravating inequality, splintering communities, curtailing women's rights, and cutting vital services. Dear friends, we have a fight on our hands, and it is a fight we must win together. So let us say it loud and clear: we will not give ground, we will not turn back, we will push back against the pushback, and we will keep pushing for wholesale change, for rapid change, and for the meaningful change our world needs, starting by addressing the imbalance in power relations. That is why here at the UN I've been pushing for gender parity, and I'm proud to report to you we are making good progress. Today, if you look around the table of my senior management group, you will find more women than men. Ms. Triggs is no longer alone. A first in United Nations history. Look around the world and you'll find parity among our resident coordinators, our top officials on the ground. Again, a first in United Nations history. And we have the most female heads and deputy heads of peace operations in UN history. And there is still a long way to go. But we are well on our way to parity in our senior ranks by 2021 and across the board in the UN by 2028. But that is not coming without pushback. I am told that even within the system, some critics have been there to play the competency cards. I heard it all before when I pushed for greater empowerment in my own political party decades ago in my country. The United Nations Charter states that paramount consideration in the employment of the staff shall be necessity of securing the highest standards of efficiency, competence, and integrity. The point is, men and women are equally efficient, equally competent, and with the same levels of integrity. And it is the present situation that penalizes women and the organization as a whole. With these facts in hand, I've reached a very clear and scientific conclusion. What these critics are saying about competency is complete and utter nonsense. Or, and I say to our critics, do you truly believe that men are on average more competent than women? If not, parity is a must for the Charter to be respected. The way to take profit of all the competence that women bring is indeed to achieve parity. And the General Assembly made it clear in a resolution all the way back in 1975, stating that a major principle governing the recruitment policy of the United Nations must be the equitable distribution of positions between men and women. A very strong recommendation, unfortunately, almost completely forgotten for decades. And let us be clear, parity is about far more than numbers. We are striving for greater opportunity for so many outstanding, talented, qualified women for a far more fundamental reason. Dare I say, a more selfish reason, because it is good for us all. When women are at the table, the chance of sustainable peace increases. When women have equal opportunities in the labor force, economics can unlock trillions, as it was forecasted recently. When gender is at the heart of humanitarian assistance, vital assistance goes further and has greater impact for everyone, men, women, girls, and boys. Parity is about our very effectiveness in securing peace, advancing human rights, and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Put simply, when we exclude women, everyone pays the price. When we include women, the whole world wins. Dear friends, One of our main themes this year is sustainable infrastructure, a vital issue. But you also are focusing on infrastructure in its largest sense, building better societies. We know women must be engaged as equal participants in all aspects of society, and that is how we build a better world. This means changing power relations, closing gaps, tackling biases, fighting to preserve hard-won gains, and winning ever greater grounds. Above all, it means believing, never ever giving up. I have hope, and you give me hope by your commitment, your energy, your example, your resilience. I am with you. I am a proud feminist. You have my full support, and we look to next year's 25th anniversary of the Beijing Platform for Action, the 20th anniversary of Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security, and the 75th anniversary of the United Nations to keep giving direction to our world. Keep leading us to a place where women and men enjoy equal rights, equal freedoms, and equal power. We need you more than ever. Thank you.